So we'll shortly recap what we saw. So measurement, normal measurement in science and engineering, we know, but we have to also measure the other things in the sociology, history, or other field of knowledge. Okay. So there are different scales like nominal scale, ordinary scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. So mostly we use interval scale and ratio scale in the engineering and science. Other scales you can also use for other specialization. So nominal scale is just one arbitrary scale. Then comes ordinal, means it is in the sequence or order. Okay, I give the example of salary package got in the IIT Bombay, the students. Okay. So we arrange that in the sequence. When we arrange in the sequence, later on we don't know what is the exact value of first one, what is the exact value of last one. Okay, but only the sequence we know. Okay, that is called as ordinal scale. And then comes interval scale. In the interval scale, it is also the sequence. Okay, order. Okay, only thing is that the gap between the two values is equal. Okay, that is called as interval scale. But in the interscale, we don't know exact where is the zero located. Okay. We don't know exactly where the zero is located. Only the gap is equal. Okay. But in the ratio scale, we know the exact zero. Okay. So we can find various like we can divide it, we can multiply. That is possible only if the absolute zero is known. So in the ratio scale, absolute zero is known. So mostly a ratio scale is very famous. Then we'll see the scale construction techniques versus arbitrary uh, approach. Then comes consensus approach. Then atom analysis approach, cumulative scale approach, and factor scale approach. Okay, so arbitrary scale, we arbitrarily choose the scale on ad hoc basis. Okay. So it is more famous because it don't need any knowledge, prior knowledge. Then comes consensus approach. Here we create the, last time we saw, we create the scale. And then we give these questionnaires to the different participants and then find out which one is having the higher value, which one is having the lower value. So that is called as consensus approach. So here you can take one example. So we discussed last time. This is a questionnaire that I support. It is about the school shooting across the US. Okay. So there are 5 questions. Okay. So we 5 questions will give to the participants, evaluators, and then they will give the appropriate marks to each point. Okay. Like here, respondents are there, and from based on that, we can create the scale. Okay. So that is called as consensus. We take the consensus of the participant. Okay. So we create the scale. Then comes atom analysis approach. In the atom analysis approach, so here number of individual atoms are developed. Okay, numbers of individual atoms are developed into the test, then which are given to the group of respondent. Okay, after the test is over, total scores are calculated for everyone. Okay. and individual atoms are then analyzed to determine which atom discriminates between the person and object with the high total score and with the low total score. So we want to discriminate the object or the person or the quality based on the score, like strongly agree, that is the high score, strongly disagree, that is the low score. So which item or which statement have this extreme end that we try to find. Okay, we make the statement and then we find this statement is more likely strongly agree. These statements are most likely strongly disagree. Okay, so that we want to find. So that is called as item analysis approach. Okay, so in the item analysis approach, we'll see one scale called as Likert type scale. We'll see one scale called as Likert type scale. You might have seen many questionnaires, and you might have seen this uh, Likert's Likert type scale. Okay, so generally in Likert type scale, there can be 5 options for your statement. Okay. So it is developed by utilizing the item analysis approach, wherein a particular item is evaluated on the basis of how well it discriminates between those person whose total score is high, whose total score is low. So we just want to discriminate. So the scale is created in a such way that uh, there will be low value at one end, strongly disagree, or on the other side it is strongly disagree. One side it is strongly agree. Okay, so like this, there will be two ends,
This
high score and low score. So we want to see this. So we'll go one by one to the Likert scale. It is generally used for questionnaires. So we'll see what are general uh, format of the Likert scale. Generally, in the Likert scale, uh, first option will be for any statement. So when one we will also describe the procedure. So there can be different levels, okay? But generally, people use the 5 level scale. Okay, for Likert scale it can be different level scale. Okay, but mostly people use 5 scale level. First will be low scale, that will be strongly disagree, then disagree, neither agree nor disagree, agree, then comes strongly agree. So here it will be low score, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in short, this scale asks us, in the same scale, we ask whether you strongly agree or strongly disagree. So it is a bipolar type. It is having the two polars, okay? So we are opposite side, okay? Strongly agree, strongly disagree. So it is called as
bipolar.
bipolar is because it is having the both directions. Now you can see here the scale, the graphical way it is described. So strongly agree. So we'll start with the strongly disagree, disagree, undecided, don't know, agree, strongly agree. Okay. So each we can say option will have marks. Okay. But what we'll do, we'll not disclose this marks. It is only for our purpose. Okay. The rating given to the each option is given only for our purpose. But for participants, we only write here strongly agree, agree, undecided, disagree, strongly disagree. We'll write like this. Okay. We'll not write the score. So that is for our internal purpose. So each point on the scale carries the score for each point. Okay. Now this is linked to what? Some statement. It is linked to what? Some statement. It is linked to some statement. So each statement will have five options. Strongly agree, agree, don't know, can't say, disagree, strongly disagree, like this. Okay, so each point will have the score. So response indicating the least favorable degree of job satisfaction is given the least score, say 1. Okay. Now, suppose we want to conduct the survey for job satisfaction. Okay. So what is the most favorable condition for the job satisfaction? It is agreed that most of them will not be satisfied. So they will give the mark. Okay. Least favorable degree of job satisfaction is given the least score, that is 1, and most favorable will be given the score 5. Okay. So like in the job satisfaction, what we'll do, uh, the low score will give, okay, to the, okay, least favorable degree of job satisfaction means, so we say
One.
not satisfied will be 1. What will be the next? Not satisfied, don't know will be 0. Okay. We can say strongly satisfied. Okay. What can be another word for that? Strongly satisfied, we can say. Can be for some different word we can find for strongly satisfied. You can say satisfied here.
Correct.
Difficult to write here.
Accepted.
Yeah. Strongly, we say not satisfied.
Then
Strongly not satisfied. Not satisfied. It will be 2 marks. And then don't know is 3 marks. Satisfied is 4 marks. And strongly satisfied, we can say 5 marks like this. We can create the scale like this. Okay. So least favorable will give the 1 mark, and most favorable, that is the highest score, is 5. So as I mentioned, this value we need not to print. We should not print these values on the surveys. Okay. Let them answer what is their opinion. Okay. At the analysis side, we have to consider these marks. Okay. We need to consider these points. Okay. Okay. The values of score are not printed. Sometimes it is printed, but it is not expected to print. Okay. At the our end, we have to do that. Okay, like this, we have to create the scale. Okay. So we need to assign the value for each response. So we know that out of five, there will be only one response. Please understand, not more than one. Okay. So same thing is done with respect to each and every statement in our survey. Okay. So in this way, suppose there are 30 questions. If there are 30 questions, so there will be 30 statement, and for each statement, we need to calculate the value. We need to find the total mark score for each person, respondent. Respondent. Okay. Okay. We'll measure the respondent's favorableness toward the given point of view. Okay. So when we total the marks, so if it is below certain value, it is his opinion is less favorable towards our survey. If it is above mean value, then his opinion is more favorable towards our study. Okay, that is our conclusion we need to calculate. Okay, so suppose our study contains 30 statements, then how to find whether its opinion is positive about our survey or about the idea, that we'll see. Okay, just we'll move to the next slide. Okay, now we know that when it is a more favorable condition, highest score what we give is 5. When it is the least favorable or unfavorable, we give the marks 1. So suppose one particular person answers all favorable question, means he takes for 30 questions, he take highest marks. Okay. So how many marks it will be? 150. Suppose one person is there, he takes only middle. Okay. So how many? 30 into 3 will be 90. So that will indicate its neutral attitude. There is one person who is only taking the one, unfavorable. So 30 into 1, it becomes 30. So from this, we can see that 90 is a neutral, and above 90, it is a favorable response possible. Below 90, it is unfavorable attitude. Okay. So from each person's response, we can also see whether its response is towards favorable condition or towards unfavorable condition. So it is obvious from this calculation that maximum score possible is 150 and minimum score possible is 30, because there is no zero. It is from 1 to 5 only. Okay. So the score will lie only between 30 to 150. Okay. So if the score is above 90, means his opinion is favorable. Okay. Towards survey we are conducting. If the his marks score is less than 90, means what? His opinion about the survey, the things we are conducting is unfavorable. There are seldom chances that someone will get the 90 marks. So it is a, you can say it is a neutral attitude. Okay. So this way we are not only seeing the statement, but we are also seeing the overall. Okay. We are also seeing the overall marks for the survey. So when we'll go for the steps in the Likert scale, you'll understand this. Okay. We'll move further. The steps which we should follow in the Likert scale. Now, what is the first step is to create the statements like earlier example. So we saw there were 30 statements. There were 30 statements. Now we need to create statements. Statements we need to create in a such a way that it will have either favorableness or unfavorableness to particular point of view. We have to select the question in a such way that either it will have favorableness or it will have unfavorableness. Now, while designing our, you can say, study, we have to be careful that number of favorable and number of unfavorable statements should be approximately equal. Please understand here. Then and then we can very easily understand the bias. Okay. The number of favorable statement and number of unfavorable statement need to be approximately equal. Okay. So before going the test, before going for survey, we need to conduct the test and see a we have to take the trial test so that we are not perform any mistake. So response to various statements are called in the such way. So when we write a response to the statement, we have to write the responses in a such way that most favorable will be given the highest score and most unfavorable attitude. Most favorable attitude will be given the highest marks and the most unfavorable attitude will be given the lowest mark or lowest score. That is the one. So Likert scale on the 5 points will have from 1 to 5. 1 is the most unfavorable and 5 is the most favorable, like this. Okay. Now move to the next step. Now we have to turn to the respondent. For respondent, we need to find his attitude towards the survey. So what we have to do is we have to total the score for each respondent. Already I mentioned how we'll do this. Like suppose this is question 1, question 2, statement 1. So here suppose he clicks option 5, then the marks will be 5. In question 2, if he ticks 3, question 3, if he takes 4, like this, then we have to add the score. Okay. We have to add the score. Okay. So already we have seen that maximum possible if it is 30. If it is 30 statement survey, then maximum possible is what? Into 5, maximum marks of 150. Okay. So find out the total score for each respondent. So what we have to do is we have to sum up the marks obtained for each statement. We have to sum up, okay, and then compare. So we know that if it is 30 questions, already I've given the example for 30 questions. The midpoint, that is a 3 into 30, it is 90. So we know whether its opinion is favorable or unfavorable. Okay. Now, this is about the respondent. Now we have to also go for the questions we have put. Okay, so we have to also go for the questions. We have statements we have given. Okay. Now it is a time to create the arrays of total score. And then we need to find out those statements which have high discrimination. So the statement which have high discrimination. Now we know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you are on either side, either towards 1 or either towards 5, that is having the high discriminating power. So we need to find the statements or questions that have this high discrimination. What we have to do is we have to find the statements for which the discrimination is higher. Okay. So we need to create the arrays for this table for this. Find out the statement which is having the high discriminatory power. So what the book has suggested that for this purpose, what we can do is select the highest and lowest scores. Okay, highest and lowest scores. Say top 25% and bottom 25%. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to select top 25% and low 25%. These two extreme groups are interpreted to represent the most favorable and least favorable attitude. Okay. So these two groups will represent most favorable and least favorable attitude and are used as a criteria groups by which to evaluate the individual statement. Okay. Now for most favorable group, we will find what is the discriminatory, which statement is a discriminatory power. For the most unfavorable group, what is the group having the discriminating power, which statement is having the discriminating power, that we will check. So in this way, what we do is determine the statements that are consistently correlating with low favorability or with the high favorability. Okay, so we need to understand this. Okay, so many times we conduct these studies for surveys, and that will give us the idea that we statement are having favorable perception. This statement is having the less favorable perception. Okay. Now, after knowing that which statements uh, correlate best. Okay. Which will correlate best, which is having the highest or lowest value. Okay. These statements are correlating more because these are having the extreme opinions. The statements which are having the extreme opinions will be retained in the final survey. Okay, so what here we are creating the scale. We have created the scale now. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll keep the statements, we'll keep the statements which are either favorable, most favorable, or high favorable. Okay, having the low favorability or high favorability. Only that statement will keep. The middle one we will skip. Okay, because they are not correlating strongly. Okay. So then we'll make the final instrument or survey and that will conduct. So this was about the Likert scale, which is a more famous. So I think this is for today. We'll maybe stop here. If you have any question, you can ask. These are the two references that I use for this. One reference I have not written is the Kothari. Kothari is also one of the reference I take for this measurement. So if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, I will stop. Yes. Okay. Thank you.